Okay, so for today, I am going to do Deuteronomy 2 as well as 3 because they are very similar, so I figured I would put them together in one video. And as we learned in Deuteronomy 1, Moses is speaking to Israel, and they are located in Moab. They could see across the Jordan River to the Promised Land. And so they're still in the same spot just as they were in Deuteronomy 1. And he's just talking to them. Moses is talking to Israel about what they went through in the wilderness because the older generation died off in the wilderness just as God said that they would due to their lack of faith. And so all of the people except for Moses and Joshua that had, made it this far, they were all either not born yet or very young when God basically, told the Israelites that the older generation would all die off. And so that is why, they wandered around in the wilderness for so long. But anyway, so Moses continues to tell the history of Israel leaving Egypt. And then verses 1 through 7, the Israelites passed through Edom. He's just talking about, when that happened. Edom belonged to the descendants of Esau, and Israel had to respect them because, Israel, if you go back, years and years ago, Esau and Jacob, and Jacob essentially is, of course, is the lineage of Israel. It all goes back to Jacob. And so, they are very distantly related, so God wanted them to respect Edom. Verses 8 through 15, the Israelites passed through Moab, and the Moabites belonged to descendants of Lot. And actually, when I was in church, my pastor was talking, there was a speaker and they were talking about Ruth the Moab, and it brought me right back to this, how we've been studying Deuteronomy. And so anyways, the Moabites belong to the descendants of Lot, and the Moabites and the Israelites, they didn't really get along very well. But verses 14 through 15, Israel spent 38 years wandering in the wilderness, which is why Moses was explaining the history of what happened. And I talked about that extensively at the beginning of this video. So then moving on to verses 16 through 37, it was the journey to Canaan, the Promised Land continues. And Israel battles Sihon, I think is how you pronounce it, and God delivered that nation to Israel. And then we're going to go into Deuteronomy 3. So verses 1 through 11, Og, king of, I'm not even going to try to pronounce that because I can't even read what I wrote, but they were defeated. And the Reubenites and Gadites were given territory north of Aroer by the Aaron Gorge. And Manasseh was the half tribe, and they were given the rest of Gilead and Bashan. So Moses is explaining the territories that were already given to, the Reubenites, Gadites, and Manasseh half tribe. And then Jer was given Argob, and Machir was given Gilead. So again, Moses is just reiterating their territory. And then verses 21 through 29, Moses again blames Israel. I know I went on a tangent on this in the last video. And we had a really good conversation in the comments on that last video too, in Deuteronomy 1. So thank you, everybody. Your comments, I love reading them. I just think it's interesting. Moses again blames Israel for his own sin. One thing that was mentioned here that we didn't read before was how Moses pleaded with God, and I kind of feel bad for Moses. I feel bad. But, if you went through the book of Proverbs, I did that in the beginning of this year, actually, January 2021. We learned, and even just all throughout the Bible, you learn that leaders are held to a higher standard. And, it's very clear here. And I kind of got, not afraid, but that sense of respectful fear of God when, I read that God's response was, that is enough. Don't speak to me anymore about this matter. That just kind of, I don't know. It made me, I I don't know how to put into words how I felt, but I'm sure Moses didn't ask after that. He didn't ask again. So, and that was verse 26. And then Moses, even though he wasn't going to enter into the promised land, he was to train Joshua up into leading the Israelites. So I can imagine how Moses must have been feeling, all this time. He went through so much with the Israelites, and then he's not getting to see the promised land. And he also has to train Joshua into, learning how to lead them all. So yeah, that was very interesting to read. I'm looking forward to Deuteronomy 4. Please share your insights with me. I love reading them. Let me know, what you learned or something that you wanted to add to the discussion. Leave it in the comments. I post a new Bible study video every Wednesday and Friday at 7 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, and I can't wait to study the Bible with you again. Bye.